Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom!
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
You John Carter of Earth?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello and welcome back to this week's Monday Movie Show. You're listening to the Blu-ray and DVD section of the show. Coming up, we have the Blu-ray and DVD top 10 and reviews of...
Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master. They have the latest and final part of the Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2. A thriller with Jessica Biel and the Tall Man. A small sort of Canadian movie, small town murder songs. And again, a small film, a British horror film called Come Down, plus our TV movie of the week as well.
Yep, but let's kick things off as we normally do with the Blu-ray and DVD top 10.
Yep, starting at number 10 with Cinderella.
Yeah, Disney are doing the buy one, get one free thing on Blu-rays and DVDs with theirs. There's 8 Disney films in the top 40 itself. Cinderella always seems to find its way in the top 10 for some reason when they do this offer. So I'm guessing a lot of people still don't own a copy of the film.
Myself included.
And me.
Yeah. Although, have you finally got Batman Begins yet?
Yes, I've got Batman Begins, but I don't own Cinderella. So I don't know if that's a good thing.
I will kind of forgive you then, since you finally got Batman Begins. Number 9 is the new entry for Gambit,
which I've not seen.
It's written by the Coen brothers, but it's not directed by them. It doesn't have the wit of the Coen brothers. It's a remake with Colin Firth as a man who's trying to rip off his boss, played by Alan Rickman, and it's just unfortunately not funny. There's lots of setups in there for it to be, but it just doesn't pay off. Number 8 is Taken 2.
How many more times do we have to comment on Taken 2? I think everybody out there now who listens to the show knows that we hated it, and it's a boring film.
Hopefully not many more, because it seems to be heading down out of the top 10. Number 7 is Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted.
You know the worst thing about doing the Blu-ray and DVD top 10? It doesn't change that much week in, week out. If we think that it's hard enough for us as it is when we're trying to comment on films and the cinema top 10, it's even worse for us to try and comment on a film in the Blu-ray and DVD top 10.
It's not bad because the cinema ones are now getting quite a lot of releases each week, so there's quite a lot of new entries.
And that's not the case though with the Blu-ray and DVD ones. So yeah, it's Madagascar 3 is a really fun film.
Okay, sound really enthusiastic about that. Number 6. That was the most I'm not even going to finish that. I don't think you've seen the number 6 movie either, Hope Springs.
Nope.
No. Which is kind of it's not a British film, but it has that kind of quality like a British film, similar to Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, in that a lot of mature audiences will enjoy it more than younger audiences. If you are going to watch it, beware it's not a movie to watch with your parents because of the uncomfortable moments will probably arise. It's well performed by Tommy Lee Jones and Meryl Streep, and as well by Steve Carell, who's not playing comedy in it. But it's just basically about a drama about an old couple who are trying to reinvigorate their sex life. So, I mean, that kind of tells you, do you want to watch this with your parents? No, not really. And number 5 is Brave.
Yeah. Still can't believe that this won Best Animated Film at the Oscars.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's not the best animated film of last year.
How did it manage to do that? I just do not know how it managed to do it. I think it's just the company that behind it, Pixar.
I'm guessing when they've looked at it, people have gone and looked at it not as best film that is animated. I think they've gone and looked at it as best animation effects in a movie, because it does look glorious. It's just not much of a film.
It isn't. It's quite boring, to be honest.
Number 4, new entry for Game of Thrones complete second season.
we don't do TV stuff on the show. Game of Thrones Season 2 I thought it was a bit of a letdown considering Season 1 was a really good season. Season 2, I think the only reason why it's gone in this high is because Season 3 starts on April 1st in the UK or March 31st at the end of the month, actually, in America.
I think one thing I will say is we don't sort of review TV shows, but this does, because it's HBO, which are they like to really do their shows big and everything. So it has a movie style production, a movie style look for a TV show. It's quite impressive. And number 3, new entry for Argo.
Yeah, this is the film that me and Andy agreed that it deserved to win Best Film at the Oscars itself. Where did we place it in our top 10 films of last year? It was like number 3, wasn't it, or something?
Something like that. I'm trying to think now. Did we actually have it in? Was it out in time? I can't remember now.
Yeah, it was. It was out in time because I remember I watched it just in time. So.
Yeah. I'm wondering, I know we put Ted at the top, I'm wondering between us if we might have actually rethink that now, because having seen Argo another time, it's one of those ones I've enjoyed more as I've watched it.
Yeah, it's a really good film.
Number 2 is Mrs. Brown's Boys Series 3.
The last time we'll see Mrs. Brown's Boys DVD in the top 10 for a while, because there isn't going to be another series until the end of 2014, according to the lead actor who plays Mrs. Brown in the film itself. I was going to say in the TV program itself, it's rubbish. I hate this program.
Yeah, it's still too soon for my liking. Which means the number 1 movie for 3 weeks in a row now is James Bond in Skyfall.
Yes, Sam Mendes has said that he's not going to direct the next James Bond film. People are speculating who they'll want. A lot of people are saying Danny Boyle, etc. I'm not sure who they get. Will I go to see it? Probably not, because the second time I saw Skyfall, I just thought it was a bit more boring the first time. Adele said she'll do the next song for the next film, Whoopee, because her song is awful. The film itself, I just thought the film was below average.
Okay, I'm banning you from any comments on further Bond films. I'll do them all.
Not allowed, because that means it's just going to be a one-sided thing. That means every single time that a Bond film is mentioned, it's good. Oh, this is brilliant. You're allowed to see what you think, and I know you think it's a really good film. I thought it was very below average.
It means, though, every time you see a Bond film, you're going to go, oh, it was boring or average, didn't like it.
No, I'm going to just be honest, because it's nice to actually hear somebody out there saying that a Bond film is very average when you hear like 95% of people say that it's below average, it's above average, it's brilliant. And as soon as somebody disses a Bond movie, they get shouted at practically.
Let's move on.
Okay then, we're going to a break just for me to calm down for a slight 30 seconds, and we'll have our first review after that.
Right, advert. What do I need to say in an advert? Well, I need to say that we're the Gamescast. I need to say that we're on Twitter at the Gamescast. I need to say we're on Facebook. I need to say we've got a website, thegamescast.com, and I need to say we're on YouTube. Oh yeah, and we're on this thing called Spreaker.com. Don't know where that came from. What else? That's probably it. Right, better record it. Oh, crap. That was 30 seconds. The Gamescast. Grown-up gamers talking about games. Allegedly.
That's the Gamescast. They're on a Friday night at 9 o'clock. I don't know if they're actually still on, to be honest. I don't see them tweeting saying that the show started. I haven't heard the show for a while, and they'll probably hate me for saying that. So, if anybody out in the Gamescast is listening in, if you're still doing the show, please let us know.
I didn't get to listen last week because unfortunately I was that tired I was asleep.
And I was ill. And like I said, I've not listened for quite a while anyway, and I don't know if they still do the show.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what you think of this movie. I really am.
The Master.
Yeah.
It's directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. This is another director who I'm not much of a fan of, to be honest. I think his movies are very pretentious.
Can I just make everyone aware then, possibly, that this might be a rant upcoming here?
No, I can't be bothered to be a rant. Even if I was reviewing Run for Your Wife, you will not get a rant out of me. I know. This stars Joaquin Phoenix. Now, I think you had slight struggle in trying to describe this film when you reviewed it on the cinema, and I can understand why, because this is it's a bit of a strange movie, because Joaquin Phoenix, he plays this sort of soldier kind of marine character in a way during the war. And the war's ended, and he's an abusive kind of character. He's obsessed with alcohol. During the movie itself, I don't even think that he did a scene where he was sober. I think every single scene in the film he did was he was intoxicated, let's just say. And so he's got a life of alcohol, and he can't keep a job down. He becomes a photographer at this like really high class upper class store where they sell like the expensive kind of items, and he probably keeps that job down for about 2 days, and he gets, you don't see him getting fired, but you might as well say he does get fired for assaulting the customer, because he's trying to light them up properly, but he's drunk. He gets the lighting so bad on the customer takes it out on him, and they end up having a fight. And so he can't keep a job down in that. He tries to get jobs in multiple areas. He then ends up, for some reason, landing on this ship, which is run by Philip Seymour Hoffman. He plays a character in Lancaster Dodd, who you don't see that he owns this ship, but he's acquired this ship. He's got this big, huge, massive boat area, and you find out through the film that he's like the leader of this cult. He's a writer of sorts. He writes books, but then he's very into, like, he's a very Freudian kind of character. He tries to do lots of psychobabble and things like that, trying to get people to, you might as well put them on a couch in a way and asks them constant questions to give them constant answers, and asks them to constantly repeat themselves over and over again. He's a clip which gives you a feel of what the film is like.
I'm in love. I'm in love. We've all been in love. When we're in love, we experience pleasure and extreme pain.
What's this time wall business?
It means going back to a place and realizing you're on the wrong track. And getting ready to start life over from the ground floor, so that you can get out of your home.
To allow, to give over, to accept that when you are in processing, what comes to you is always right. Always right. Always good. Always helpful. Will always lead you toward the pain.
I see Doris. And we walk. She wrote me a letter. No one else wrote me a letter. She wrote me a letter. She just looks at me.
Just a slight warning there. Andy's just set me up on it. I've got a sweet in my mouth at the moment because obviously I've still got a cold. It's a locket that I've got in my throat. There are other sweets available out there which supposedly helps with colds. And if you can hear a noise coming from me, it's the sweet. And so, back to The Master. I'm not reviewing the sweet, I'm reviewing The Master. The rest of the film is... It's a strange movie to explain because it's a nothing of a film. There is very little that goes on in the movie. Joaquin Phoenix's character, Freddie Quayle, like I said, he's a constantly drinking alcohol. He's able to create these alcoholic drinks out of weird things that you would never expect. He uses like bleach, and when he is a photographer, for example, in the room where he has to develop the photographs, he even uses some of that liquid. And he drinks a little bit out of the vial that he creates to do the photographic process, and so he's completely inebriated through the whole entirety of the film. Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, like I said, he's the leader of this cult in a way, and the cult builds up the more through the film you get, and he's constantly asking questions, and he's obsessed with philosophy and trying to dig into people's psyches, and the movie, it feels like he's the head of Scientology. It's like he is like the leader of Scientology, and the way he babbles on, saying that humans have been on the planet for trillions, not billions or millions of years, and everybody is attached to something else, and he just goes on and on through the film about this. His wife is exactly the same, played by Amy Adams. She's sort of like a little bit of a wrung down version of him, but she's also obsessed with this kind of analysing people. And the film, it just drags and drags and drags with very little happening in the movie. You don't care about the characters. To be honest, you haven't a clue what's going on, because you can't understand what Joaquin Phoenix is saying with him being constantly drunk. You don't care what Philip Seymour Hoffman's character is saying at all, because it's just such boring psycho dribble that he's just throwing out at you. You couldn't care less about any of the characters in the movie. There is nothing attached to it. The score, as you heard just there, is awful. It's all over the place. It doesn't match the movie at all. It becomes much more of a distraction. And the film itself is such a confusing mess of a movie. I wouldn't even class it as a movie. It's like you're paying a psychiatrist to sit down for 2 hours, just over 2 hours, and this is what you get. The psychiatrist just like charges you, say, £500. He puts on the master and says, "Just watch that. There you go." That's what it feels like. It felt like I should just be sitting on a chaise longue rather than watching it in my living room and having light shined onto me, and then I'm expecting somebody to walk into my sitting room door to say, "What happened in that?" and then analyse it down to a T. It's such a confusing mess of a film.
I agree pretty much with that, but I mean, the thing I did find is that the scenes when you have both Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman on screen together was like magic cinema for the two of them together. Other than that, whenever it's Joaquin Phoenix on his own, or you just have other things going on, I just found it completely boring and disinteresting. But I mean, there's a scene where the two of them are sitting, and it's just them talking, and him going through the process with Joaquin Phoenix's character. That is one of the most impressive scenes I've ever seen, which is why it's so even more frustrating to watch this film and see the rest of it completely wasted.
I don't think it is impressive at all. I just felt like
it's just like the electricity between the two characters and between the two actors was. Because I mean, I saw this at the cinema. You've seen it on DVD, so it might be that it's different. But that was one of the moments in the cinema where it's like you could cut the atmosphere with a knife, because it was just so buzzed and so. Well, other than that, though, as I said, the rest of the film was just boring, uninteresting, and disappointing.
Well, for me, though, that scene there, I felt like I wanted to tell him. I wanted to give him the answers, because he was constantly drilling out of Joaquin Phoenix. I was just going, will you just give him the flipping answers now so we can get this scene over with? Or I'm going to tell him. I'm going to splurt out all these stories about my childhood.
I didn't have that effect to it, no. I'm surprised, though. Okay, I'm going to move on to what most people will be really looking forward to hearing about, the Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2. No,
You've still seen more of a Twilight movie than I have. I've still only seen the first 10 minutes. I was actually going to sit down and watch this, but then I thought, I'm normal. I know that means saying I'm normal, but...
Okay, I don't know what to say that. It's directed by Bill Condon. It's based on the book by Stephanie Meyer, which is it's been split into two parts, with part 1 and part 2. If anyone remembers, I have seen all the Twilight movies. Part 1 I thought was just nothing happened. It was boring. It was all set up and no payoff, and I really just hated it. It was a complete waste of time as far as I was concerned. Now, in the second part of the movie, we have it where Bella has been turned into a vampire. Bella, played by Kristen Stewart. She has become a vampire now. So her and Edward are sort of together. Her child has been born, which has resulted in her death when she was human. And the child is sort of rapidly growing, is sort of an unknown element to the whole of the Cullen family. And the whole thing is sort of going on about as normal. They're introducing Bella to being a vampire, to how she has to act human whenever she's around people, and learn to control her instincts and the thirst of a vampire has, especially a young vampire. And everything seems to be going all right until one of the other Cullens, I think it's Alice Cullen, has who she has visions of things in the future. She sees that the Volturi, the head of the vampire community that are in charge of all sort of final say on all things vampire, are coming to actually get them because of the fact of that they believe that they have actually raised an immortal child. They have made a child into a vampire instead of this baby Renesmee who has been born. Here's a clip.
Renesmee is nothing like those children. She was born, not bitten. She grows every single day.
So can't you just explain that to the Volturi?
Arrow has enough proof in Irina's thoughts.
So we fight.
Their offensive weapons are too powerful. No one can stand against Jane.
Alex, even worse.
Well, then we convince them.
They're coming to kill us, not to talk.
No, you're right. They won't listen to us. But maybe others can convince them. Carlo, you have friends all around the world.
I won't ask them to fight.
Not fight, witness. If enough people knew the truth, maybe we could convince the Volturi to listen.
We can ask this of our friends.
As you heard there in that clip, you have some kind of cheesy dialogue, which is no better or worse than any of the other dialogue in the film. The whole thing is about them then going off to try and find all these sort of friends that they have in other vampire communities to then come and witness for them in front of the Volturi and basically have it so that they're saving themselves from the Volturi attack. The thing is with the Twilight films, I've seen them all. I think that they are okay, but nothing special given that they're based on books. If you're ever going to adapt something from a book, you will never get everything in the book into a film, something that runs for 2 hours running time. And the movies are extremely light of material. I've not read the books, but I don't know if it's because the books are weak or if the films are weak, but the films always seemed like, for a movie that's based on a book, there should be a lot more in them. That said, the last one is a book that's been split into 2 parts, and as I said, I hated the first part because nothing happened in it. It was just a stalling tactic thing setting up for the second part. Here we have something very different. There is actually things going on here. The character of Bella is actually quite interesting once she becomes a vampire, and I don't know if this was intentional or if it's just because Kristen Stewart's actually now got something more to do than just sit and pout and not be happy. She's actually got she's actually sort of showing concern and wonder and stuff in some of her performance in this.
What? So she has a different facial expression?
Yes. It's a bit more
really?
sort of scowled, so it's actually like concern.
Are you sure with that?
Yeah.
So somebody didn't actually walk up to her and, like a puppet, actually finally pulled a string just behind her head so they can move her eyes a little bit.
It's not an award-winning performance, but it's actually a performance.
For her it is.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, I mean, Robert Pattinson is probably the one who's wasted the most because he doesn't get a lot to do, and most of the times he's just, I mean, he's there for female dressing. That's really it. The only other thing that's, I mean, female dressing, you've got Taylor Lautner, who makes every effort to strip his shirt off and change into a wolf.
Not surprised there.
There's even an uncomfortable moment where he reveals to Bella's father about him being a werewolf, and it's done in a comedic thing where he starts stripping in front of him and says, "You're going to have to see this," and it's as he's stripping down, and it's this uncomfortable thing of that, and it's kind of humorous, but you know what's going on.
We were expecting that. We were expecting that kind of music.
That's just wrong. You're sick. It's the thing is, I mean, like I said, it's a lot more going on for it as a Twilight movie, and the thing is, I still think it's the best of all the Twilight films, but it won't mean anything to anyone who hasn't seen the other ones.
Quickly, one question: can you see what Dalek Sex is written in the live chat there? I don't know if you want to read that out or just leave it in the live chat for the people who were listening to the show live.
I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to say, because it is kind of spoilerish, but I will say to Dalek, in a way, yes.
That's quite disturbing then.
Yeah. Which is a thing that during the movie does get sort of addressed a bit, and then you're kind of, oh, okay, really? but it's not sort of graphically, but then it's weird, but it's anyway. It's essentially it's a much better film than any of the other Twilight films, but you need the context. You need the others to put it in context.
Good, I'm not watching it then.
Well, the thing is, I'm going to say that because I saw Beautiful Creatures earlier this year, which basically did in its first film. It is another film that's based on a book series of 4 books, which are very similar. Has 2 characters that are sort of teenagers falling in love, and there's a supernatural element involved, which is witchcraft in that. In this, it's vampires and it's werewolves. And Beautiful Creatures did in its first film what it's taken 4.5 films for Twilight to do. So, I mean, the thing is, well, there's problems with it. There's this whole thing of the baby as it grows rapidly. It's a CGI baby and a CGI face as it grows older, which just doesn't work, looks awful, and you kind of wonder why bother? Why not just have a child actor, have different actors playing it at different ages, and it would have worked fine. And I mean, it ends up. I mean, I know there's a big thing at the end of it which is different from the book, but it's how it would have to be in the film. Otherwise, the film would have just been boring, more boring than it is. The only thing I wish is that because it starts off with them going to try and find other vampire families to witness for them. I wish they had done this in the first half, in part 1. It would have given part 1 something to do. So it's better than the rest of the Twilight films, but only for someone who has seen the Twilight films, because then you have an idea, you know where it's going. If you just watch it straight off, you'll hate it. You won't know what to do, you won't care, and by the end of it you'll go, wow, Twilight's really rubbish, because in that regard it is.
Oh well then, not surprised there. Next film is The Tall Man. It's directed by Pascal Laugier, who did a brilliant French film in 2008 called Martyrs, and this is his first English language speaking film. It stars Jessica Biel. It's going direct to DVD over here. It got a theatrical release in the US, and it's taken quite a while for it to be released over here. It's a very simple story. It centers on a mythical person called the Tall Man, and it's set in this small little town called Coffin Rock, where children have gone missing, and for the parents to explain to the other children that are there that the reason why they've gone missing is down to this character called the Tall Man, who kidnaps the children. And Jessica Biel, she plays this, so like she's a nurse of sorts, and she's got a son in this small town, and she seems to have a normal life. She's helped the pregnancy of this woman, and it's sort of like a bit wary considering that the Tall Man might come and kidnap this baby. The town itself is like really, really run down. It's this small like town where everybody is practically poor. There's only 1 or 2 people which might have a bit of money. You only see a few little sets anyway of the town itself. Jessica Biel's house, and you see this diner as well. And she's got a bit of a normal life until the Tall Man comes and supposedly kidnaps her child. She chases after the Tall Man to try and get a child back. Here's a clip which I haven't queued up, and it's queued up now.
What happened, Julia?
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Now, you wait right there. I'll be right back. Go get cleaned up. I left a towel and some clean clothes in my office. And when you're done, maybe you can tell me what's going on.
Have you quite finished breaking your chair?
I think I'm breaking absolutely everything belonging to me. So yeah, my chair is fixed properly. Now I'm getting Dalek Sect in the live chat. Couldn't they have just called it Slender Man? No, because as soon as the child's gone missing, I know a lot of people hate it when somebody says that in a film there is a twist. I'm going to stop describing the movie from that point onwards, because the movie completely changes from then on in. It's a strange film because if you look at the front of the box, you see Jessica Biel with this guy behind her, and you think it is Slenderman-esque, but it's not, because the film itself, what Pascal Laugier has decided to do, instead of doing something like he did with Martyrs, and US Danny Dyer fan in the live chat, she said Martyrs was a bit too much for her. This is completely in the opposite direction to Martyrs. Martyrs is an extreme film. This plays out more like a drama, and like I said, with the twist when it occurs, it's such a huge, massive twist that, like what M. Night Shyamalan liked to do with these films, is he has a twist at the end. Pascal Laugier has a twist in the middle. So it feels technically like two films, because the way it takes a different turn. And the film itself I really liked it. If you treat it more like a drama, with a bit of thriller here and there, rather than a horror film, because it's not a horror film, then you'll get so much out of this movie. There is a few tense scenes in the film, but Jessica Biel, she's really good, and it's directed really nicely, and considering that it's only a small amount of sets, there's only like 4 sets in the whole film itself, it's handled really well, it's shot really nicely, and it's acted really nicely as well. I really enjoyed this film. I've seen it twice now. And yes, the US title is called The Tall Man, and it is called The Tall Man when it's released everywhere else. And I highly recommend The Tall Man. It's not, if you're expecting the gore and the intensity from Laugier's last film, Martyrs, then don't, because it's completely different to that. But this is, Dalek said, sort of like The Pact, only done properly then. No, because The Pact is more of a ghost kind of story. There's a twist in that as well. If you've seen The Pact, you know what the twist is. But yeah, the film itself, I really like The Tall Man. It's a good film.
I'm surprised by that. I haven't seen it yet, but from what I saw of it, I wasn't expecting that.
It's not a horror film, and it's not one of those scary ghost movies neither.
Okay, I might have to try and check it out. Small Town Murder Songs, which is a title and a half. It's a small film written and directed by Ed Gas Donnelly. It's starring I don't have his name here. Why don't I have his name? Peter Stormare. Peter Stormare plays Walter, who is a sort of the local kind of sheriff to this town in Canada, in sort of an outskirting town of Canada. It's sort of following him as he is the local sort of man in charge of the police and the small police in that area, who is then called to a site where there has been a body found, a body of a young girl has been murdered, and sort of found there with no one having any idea sort of where she is. That's, although he has a suspicion as to who it may be, someone that's sort of in his past that he has a bit of a grudge with. And he reports it to them, that person, as being a suspect to the big police officer that comes in from one of the big cities to investigate this murder. So as a result of that, this person who Walter has issues with and has a past with is brought in to be interviewed, where the main cop from the big city comes in, has an interview with the guy, and comes out to sort of speak to him about the outcome. Here's a clip.
So, what'd he say?
A lot of BS, if you ask me. Said he was dumping trash and stumbled across the body. Had Rita call 911 from a payphone because he didn't want to get busted for dumping the trash. Had lots to say about you, though, Walt. Any idea why is that?
Yeah. So, what?
So, Rita says they were home all night Saturday night. Occupied, if you catch my meaning. Now, as to why they waited almost 2 days to call 911, no answer for that. You guys, you need some spoons or stir sticks or something here, all right?
So is that it, or...?
Dave, biker enforcement's on the phone for you.
I'll be right there. Is that it? Well, what do you want me to do, Jim? Bust him for being an a-hole? We got no time of death. We got no cause of death. No ID on the girl. Now, I need you guys pulling double shifts, all right? Door to door, farm to farm, till we get an ID on this girl. Get out there and ask around.
So the thing about small town murder songs is that it is a small film. By that I mean it's a small budget film, and also it's only 75 minutes long. it's weird to say it, but it's not an action film. It's not an action thriller. It's a drama thriller, and it's kind of like a Coen Brothers film, really. It's shot in that way with the sort of the outskirts of a town. You've got sort of a lot of countryside bits. You've got a lot of really weirdly shot and framed scenes. It's all about this whole thing of Walter, who has a sort of a past. This character Walter, who has a past that's sort of coming back to haunt him. But it's sort of because of that, he is sort of unraveling as a result of that. And it's a really good performance from Peter Stormare, who is the central part of it, and it's focusing on him as his character degrades from beginning to end of the film. The only thing is that it's really odd to say this, but for a 75-minute film, it is a long film. And I mean that by the scenes in it when you're watching it, although it's done in a very Coen Brothers style with the shots and these weird sort of church kind of music playing over scenes where that's all it is. There's music playing and there's a still camera, and I mean there's a shot in the film where you're just watching somebody's boat passing from one side of the screen to the other in a wide shot from miles away, and it's very weirdly relaxed shooting of the film, and that music that unfortunately just drags it on. It doesn't feel like there's even an hour's worth here. It's weird to say that, but it is. It's 75 minutes, and it felt like almost 2 hours in a bad way. It really surprised me that I was watching it. I'm like, how much of this is left? I was like, okay, 20 minutes. I'm like, only 20 minutes? I've been watching it for an hour. And I thought, no, it's not been an hour. It's been 40 odd minutes. I was like, what? I really could not believe how much it dragged. So only really if you love Coen Brothers films will I think you get anything out of this. Or if you're a big fan of Peter Stormare, then check it out. Otherwise, forget it. Really, it's just doesn't hold together.
Yep, final film of the night. It's a small little British horror film called Come Down. It's directed by Minhaj Huda, and it stars Adam Deacon. That's why it's got the adulthood and kidulthood thing on the top of the box itself, and it's got a very typical setup. It centres around a group of teenagers who are obsessed with taking drugs and doing alcohol. They've been asked by this DJ to set up this antenna on the top of this huge, massive apartment block of flats themselves. They get up to the highest point in this flats. They decide to have a party there, drinking drugs, etc., to set up this radio thing. But there is somebody inside this flats who are taking them out one by one, killing them one by one. That's it. That's the plot of the film itself. It looks like it's shot in the same kind of tower block that Tower Block was shot in, which it does if you look at it from the front-facing angle when you first see the camera pan out and you see the block itself.
I think that's maybe possible because they were going to be knocked down and they were kept up for a while.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if it is. The thing is with Come Down is because it is a small little British film, and so if you can get past all of the colloquialisms of where it's set in the West End of London.
The what? The what?
I'm not saying that word again. You try and say it. The colloquialisms.
Colloquialisms.
Yeah, that word. Colloquialism. That word.
Colloquialism.
Yeah, it's really bad to say when you've got a cold. Why did I even choose to try and say it? Where it's set in the West End of London, if you're used to all of that sort of like tower block, attack the block kind of lingo, then you'll be used to this kind of film. The only thing is Adam Deacon is annoying in every single thing that he does. He's really annoying in this as well. But the movie flows along for the 85 minutes that it's on for. It ticks every single box that it aims to do. There's a few really nice gory deaths in the film. It's only rated 15, but you do get your bang for your... I'm not saying buck because it's a British film, but it doesn't make sense when you say you get your bang for your pound. It just doesn't. But, yeah, Come Down is a decent enough horror film of sorts. And it works for what it is. Right, Andy's got a TV movie of the week.
Yeah, if you've never seen Escape from Alcatraz, then I really do suggest that you see it. I mean, it's actually a movie which is 1979, so it's almost as old as I am. It is Clint Eastwood in one of his best roles, where he is a man who's imprisoned in Alcatraz, and sets about the plan of him and a few other men escaping. It's a dramatization of essentially what is rumored to be real events, but has always been said to be no, it's a lie. It's just a rumor. It's one of these urban legends. Nobody ever escaped from Alcatraz. It's a great piece of cinema history. It's Clint Eastwood, as I say, doing what Clint Eastwood does brilliantly. It is on Film 4. So sorry, everyone not in the UK. But it's on Film 4, 11:05 p.m. Tuesday, 12th of March. So that's tomorrow night. Anyone listening live, if you're listening on the podcast later on, sorry if you missed it, but it's probably going to be on a few times again because Film 4 is repeating everything now. So that is the movie of the week for TV.
Yeah, just a quick shout out there in the chat. Somebody says, can you shout out Sophia and Katie? So, hello Sophia and Katie. It's a bit of a weird time ask for that, considering that we're near the end of the show, but why not? I did the shout out for you. So before we go into the usual stuff, websites that you need to check out, you've got ours, which is mondaymovieshow.co.uk. I don't know, Andy, I think you might be getting a review up there in the next couple of days for maybe Side Effects or Oz.
Hopefully. I didn't get a chance to do them over the weekend, although there's so many things coming out this week. It's too many things. Too many releases.
Yeah, and I might have my review for the ABCs of Death starting to write up because it's going to take me forever to do that review of that. So keep an eye out on mondaymovieshow.co.uk. You'll find the box office top 10s and trailers and stuff like that go up on that site. You've also got Following the Nerd at followingthenerd.com. Their show goes live on a Thursday at 9 o'clock. They've also got The Empire Talks Back, which is their Star Wars podcast, which I think they're putting it out on a Wednesday now. If you've missed any episodes of their shows, you can catch them on Spreaker and iTunes, and they normally go up on a Tuesday or Wednesday time. You've got thegamescast.com, which you heard an advert in this show. Their show is on a 9 o'clock on a Friday, maybes. You've got lollicast.co.uk, who are back in April. Dalek Sex has been in the chat all night with us, so thanks for joining us for that. And from page 2, the number 2, screen.com, that's Stuart, who does a blog. He's mainly obsessed with British films, but he will write about other films as well, and he also does a few podcasts.
I'm rather worried. I'm rather worried now because Dalek 6 saying he's currently editing a Holocaust with you in it. I was wondering, has he been editing bits from the show?
Pretty much. I know that I popped up into one episode in the Holocaust in your locals, and it was just, I think he took it from one of the episodes that we did. So copyright infringement there.
Yeah.
But he got my permission though, so that was fine. And also the charity which I always like to shout out, it's the Serum Foundation. You can find them at serumfoundation.org.uk or follow them on Twitter at Serum Foundation. Fantastic charity. So before we go, movie of the week.
I'm torn between two, and it's not a DVD section, it's a cinema section. Anyone under 15, Oz the Great and Powerful. Anyone over 15, Side Effects.
And mine is a really easy one. If you can get to see it, Robot and Frank.
And anyone who is 15, go and see both.
Yeah, actually, if you are 15, go to see both, because Robot and Frank, if it is shown in a cinema near you, it is that much of a good film. So that's it for that's it for this week's Monday Movie Show. We will be back same time next week at 7:30, where we will look at films including the remake of Red Dawn and Welcome to the Punch. And on Blu-ray and DVD, we will take a look at End of Watch and Silent Hill Revelations as well.
Ooh, so I get to End of Watch. I haven't seen that yet.
Yep. Until next week. Goodbye.
Bye bye.